to Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives with your host, Singh. This is where leadership meets purpose, presence, and passion. In today's fast paced, high pressure world, we face a leadership crisis. Too often, teams are led by managers who lack empathy, clarity, and vision, leaving individuals uninspired, disconnected, and undervalued. But it doesn't have to be this way. Great leadership isn't born, it's built. The end game: empower your leadership, inspire the world. Every week, join me, your host Singh, as we tackle the gaps in leadership and life coaching head on, learning how mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and compassion can redefine success. This isn't just another podcast, it's a mission to fill the void left by ineffective leadership. And it's not just about leadership in business. Life coaching for leaders and new executives is at heart of this journey. Ready to rise above the noise and lead with clarity, purpose, and impact? Join a global movement dedicated to reshaping the future of leadership one mindful moment at a time. Let's begin.
Welcome back to Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives on the Transformation Network. I am your host, Singh, and today we are diving into the art of active listening. The leadership skill that is so underrated, it might as well be the broccoli of communications. You know it is good, you know it's good for you and your team, but how often do you really do it? We all heard about that guy who spent 44 billion to buy Twitter just to argue with other people. He didn't just buy a platform, he bought the world's loudest megaphone. But let's be honest. Do you think anyone is really listening in that chaos? That's what's happened when we forget the art of active listening. Or what about the time Taylor Swift dropped Midnights and broke every streaming record ever? Now that's a woman who knows how to make people listen. But here's the thing: are we really listening to the emotions in her lyrics? Or are we just vibing to the beats? Let's talk about how to listen like a Swiftie with purpose. Let me ask you this: have you ever been in conversations where you nodded the whole time, but halfway through or somewhere in there, you realized you're actually thinking about what's for dinner, or maybe someone told you you never listen, and instead of hearing them, you immediately thought, that's not true. Now, be honest, we have all been there. And here's the thing: listening is hard, but the good news, it is also a skill you can develop. And when you do that, it changes everything: your relationships, your work, and even how you lead. Today, we are going to laugh a little, learn a lot, and explore why active listening is your secret superpower. And to keep it interesting, I'm going to tie it to some recent news and pop culture music moments like Twitter chaos, Oscar slap, and even Barbie movie. So buckle up because we are about to decode the art of listening like a leader. Okay, let's kick things off with basics. What is active listening? It's not just hearing words, it's understanding the full message, including emotions, intentions, and context. It's about listening with your ears, your eyes, and your heart all at the same time. Think about the Oscar slap. Will Smith's actions sent shockwaves across the world. But what if someone had really listened to him before the slap? Instead of reacting to surface level frustration, they might have understood the deeper feelings that led to that moment. Active listening helps you avoid those oh no situations by getting into knowing the root cause and understanding what's really going on. So, some examples where active listening truly benefits, right? Let's start with building trust and strengthening relationship. Ponder this: you are in a meeting and someone interrupts you mid sentence with their idea. How do you feel? Annoyed, frustrated, right? Now, flip it. Imagine someone listens to you all the way through, reflects on what you said, and then adds their thoughts. Even if they don't agree, that's how trust is built. Even King Charles III's coronation had people asking, is Harry being heard in this family? Now, trust isn't just for royalty, it is for everyone who wants stronger relationship. Second, creating a culture of collaboration and innovation. Think about NASA's asteroid deflection mission. That wasn't one person's idea. It came from a group of people who actively listened to each other's expertise and worked together. Listening fuels the kind of collaboration that leads to breakthroughs. And then enhancing decision making. When ChatGPT launched, people had two reactions: this is amazing or this is terrifying. But leaders who actively listened to both sides were able to make smarter decisions about how to use AI effectively. Listening gives you clarity in noise. Now, take Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. He is a master of this. When Starbucks was struggling, he didn't just throw out ideas. He sat down with employees, with managers, with customers to truly listen. He paraphrased, validated their concerns, and rebuilt trust, turning the company around. That's the power of active listening. All right. We have talked about why active listening is a leadership superpower. But now it's time to roll up our sleeves and get into the how. Because listening isn't just something you just decide to do, it is a skill you have to practice. And like any skill, the more you work on it, the better you get at it. Now I'm going to walk you through 5 proven techniques of active listening, just like my other examples. These are simple, practical steps that you can use in your next conversation, whether it is at work, at home, or even with your barista when you get your wrong order. Now, let's begin. Breaking down the technique, the first step is give full attention. The foundation of active listening is to give full attention. And yes, I know this one sounds obvious, but think about how often we are distracted during conversations. Maybe you are glancing at your phone, checking the time, or mentally planning your grocery list while someone is talking. Here is quick practical steps for giving full attention. Step one, put your phone face down, better yet, out of sight. Research shows that even having your phone visible can make people feel you are not fully present. Then make comfortable eye contact. Not the creepy one that I'm staring into your soul, just kind that says, I'm here and I'm listening. Your body language is the third. Lean slightly forward and nod occasionally and face the person directly. Your body language should say, I am focused on you. I am present for you. I'm here. And then the fourth one, pause other thoughts. When your mind starts wander, because it will, gently bring it back by focusing on their words. A good trick is to repeat their words silently to yourself as they're speaking. It keeps you engaged and thinking about how not to respond while you're listening to those words. Now, here's a challenge for today. In your next conversation, put your phone away completely. Give the person your undivided attention just for 2 minutes. You will see amazed. You are connected with the other individual. Now, the second step after giving full attention is reflect and paraphrase. This one is most powerful tool in active listening because it shows the person you are actively getting what they are saying. It's like holding up a mirror to their thoughts and emotions. As they talk, pay attention to main points they are making. What are they really trying to say? Then, when you reflect back, try to use some of their exact words. So, for instance, if someone says, I am so frustrated with how my team is handling deadline, don't say, oh, you are mad. Instead, say, so you're feeling frustrated because your team isn't meeting deadlines. Did I get that right? See? And then always follow up with something like, did I understand you correctly? Or does that sound right to you? It gives them a chance to clarify or expand. I'll come back to the science of this in a bit. So try this one activity at your work. The next time a coworker, a peer, or a manager comes to you with a problem, paraphrase their concern back to them before responding. For example, if they say, I'm overwhelmed by all these projects, reply with, it sounds like you're feeling stressed because there's too much on your plate. Is that right? It might feel awkward at first, but you will see how much difference it makes. Now, the science behind this is one, to be able to paraphrase and get into that habit, you will have to actively listen to them. So you are trying to bring your brain back into the game all the time and coming out of autopilot. All right. The third step is then ask open ended questions. Now, let's talk about open ended questions. The secret sauce of meaningful conversation. These are questions that encourage people to elaborate, reflect, and share more. And they are especially helpful if someone is being vague or holding back. So, first, avoid yes or no questions like, are you okay? Instead, try what's been on your mind lately or how are you feeling about that, right? Then dig deeper. If they give a short answer, follow with, can you tell me more about it? Or what do you mean by that? And avoid leading questions. Don't see the conversation with questions like, don't you think that's a bad idea? Instead, ask, what do you think about that idea? So here's the fun one. The next time you're catching up with a friend, ask them, what's been the highlight of your week so far? See, it is a simple, open ended question that often leads to surprising and meaningful answers. And then the fourth step, avoid interrupting. Interrupting is a bad habit. We are all guilty of it. Whether it's because we are excited to share your thoughts or we think we already know what the other person is going to say. But here's the thing, interrupting sends the message that you are saying is more important than what they are saying, right? So, how what do you do? First, count to three. When someone finishes speaking, wait at least for 3 seconds before responding. This gives them a chance to add more if they were not finished. And the 3 seconds, take a deep breath. It centers you before you respond to the conversation. Second, literally bite your tongue. If you feel the urge to jump in, take a deep breath or bite your tongue gently up yourself. And then, most critical, acknowledge their point first. Before sharing your thoughts, say something like, that's a really good point. Or I hear what you're saying. This shows you have listened before adding your perspective. So here is your challenge. In your next conversation, practice the 3 second rule. I know it's harder than it sounds, but I promise it will make a huge difference in how people perceive you as a listener. And then the last step is validate and empathize. People may want to feel understood, but they never want to feel judged or dismissed. They just want to be truly understood. And showing empathy is the fastest way to build trust and connection. So, how do we do it? First, acknowledge their emotions. If someone says, I am so stressed out, don't respond with that's life. I know it is. Don't respond with that. Instead, say, I can see how that would be overwhelming. Then use empathetic phrases like, that must be really hard, not you deserve it. I can understand why you would feel that way. These are small statements that go a long way in building relationship. And please, 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 please avoid problem solving. Sometimes people want to vent, that's it. Instead of jumping in the solutions and asking, how can I support you? Just listen to them. Have that engaging conversation, and they will get you in when they are comfortable to allow you to help them. But before any of those supporting activity can happen, you have to let them to open to truly connect with you, truly feel that they are being understood, to see that you are actively listening and present for them, not for the sake of finishing the conversation, but actually for truly being there. So, next time someone shares a frustration with you, validate before offering, validate their feelings before you offer any advice. For example, if they say, I'm so tired of my boss micromanaging me, don't say, go and change your job. Start with, that sounds really frustrating. I can see why that would be draining. And then ask, what would help you feel more supported? All right. So there you have the 5 techniques of active listening broken down into simple steps. You can start practicing today. Remember, you don't have to master them all at once. Start with one or two that you're closest to and most comfortable with, and build from there. Because listening isn't just about hearing, it's about creating connection, it's about creating trust and understanding, right? So, a couple of exercises here. These are scenarios that you can work with your friends, with your coworkers. The first one is, imagine your coworker says, I feel like my ideas never get heard in meetings, right? So instead of saying, yeah, that sucks, which it does, try reflecting. It sounds like you are feeling unappreciated because your input isn't being acknowledged. Is that right? And then follow up. What would help you feel more included? See, it's better than the first one, which is, yeah, it sucks. Now, second scenario, fun one. Imagine someone says pineapple on pizza is best. Instead of arguing, we can have a whole day argument on that. I know. Reflect and ask. So you are saying the sweetness of pineapple balances the saltiness of pizza. Interesting. Tell me more. Even if you are anti pineapple, you have opened the door to a better conversation. Again, life is all about bringing those moments back in the present, being engaged in the present, and not being stuck in autopilot and trying to do things that has never worked. All right, let's lighten things up a bit and dive into some pop culture moments. Because let's face it, pop culture teaches us a lot, mostly what not to do. But sometimes we can pull out some really golden nuggets about communication and listening. So let's take a look at a few iconic moments where listening, or the lack of it, was front and center. All right, first one. When the Barbie movie trailer dropped, it rocked the internet. Everyone was buzzing. Memes, debates, and non-stop opinions. But here's the thing. One of the central conflicts in the movie is that Barbie is clearly the star and the poor Ken is struggling to find his purpose. Now imagine if Barbie, instead of being caught up in her world, had said, Ken, how do you really feel about being in my shadow? That open ended question would have completely shifted the dynamic. Maybe Pen wouldn't have resorted to some of the antiques we saw in the film. It's a perfect example of how listening doesn't solve problems, it prevents them from escalating in the first place. Sometimes the people around us, our coworkers, our friends, our families, are trying to express something deeper, but they don't always know how. Asking an open ended questions like, what is really on your mind? Let's just talk, can unlock conversations that build trust and understanding. Now, let's talk about Taylor Swift. When she dropped Midnight, it broke streaming records and had fans dissecting every lyric. Why? Because Taylor has mastered the art of making people feel like she's speaking directly to their emotions. It's like every song is a conversation where she's saying, I hear you, I get you, and here's my story too. I'm just like you. But here's the kicker. How often, how often do we listen to people in real life the way we listen to Taylor Swift albums? Imagine if we gave someone's words the same attention we give to dissecting Taylor's lyrics. Instead of just hearing what they say, we should be analyzing their tone, their emotions, and what's beneath the surface. Now, here's a fun exercise on that. Think about the last time someone shared something personal with you. Did you really listen to their words, or were you multitasking, nodding along, and thinking about your reply? Challenge yourself to listen with the same intensity that you would be decoding the Easter eggs in Taylor Swift song. Trust me, the results will surprise you. Ah, the Oscar slam. Will Smith versus Chris Rock. It's a moment none of us saw coming. But let's break it down. Smith's reaction wasn't just about that joke. It was the result of a built up emotions, frustrations, and pressures. Now imagine if someone had really listened to him before the big night, a friend, a colleague, or even Jara herself could have said, Will, how are you feeling leading up to this event? What is on your mind? See, this is what happens when people don't feel heard. Emotions bottle up and eventually they explode. The Oscar slap is a dramatic reminder of why leaders, and actually every one of us, need to create spaces where people can express what they are feeling before it boils over and gets out of control. So, here's a simple takeaway for you. Listening isn't just about avoiding awkward moments, it's about creating that safety for people to share what's beneath the surface. Sometimes just one conversation can stop a slap or a fight before it happens. So, the pineapple pizza debate. All right, I could resist throwing this one in, so I had to put it in there. The pineapple on pizza debate is one of the most heated arguments of our time. Yes, I aged myself. People have strong feelings about it. They either love it or hate it. But instead of shouting your opinion, what if you used it as a chance to practice active listening? Imagine someone says, pineapple or pizza is the best. Instead of immediately saying you are crazy, try to reflect. So you like how sweetness of the pineapple balances the saltiness of the pizza, right? I gave this as an example in part of reflection. Even if you disagree, You just open the door to a respectful conversation, and there maybe you will learn something new. So, pop culture is full of lessons about listening, some good, some bad, and some downright hilarious. But what they all show is this: listening is a skill that can transform any moment. Whether it is a conversation with your team, a family dinner, or an internet debate about pizza topping. Now, how can I forget Ted Lasso? Let's end on a positive note with Ted Lasso. If you have seen the show, you know he is the ultimate listener. Ted connects with his team not because he's the best soccer coach, but because he listens to their fears, their frustrations, and their dreams. He doesn't jump in quick with quick fixes or lectures. He validates their feelings and asks thoughtful questions that make them feel heard. If you want to read like Ted Lasso, remember, listening isn't about fixing, it's about understanding. Create a space where people feel comfortable sharing, and you will build trust that lasts. So, here's a challenge for the week: pick one conversation. Let the conversation be at work, at home, or even at coffee shop, and practice active listening. Paraphrase what other person says or asks, and then ask an open-ended question, and then reflect. Did they open up more? Did the conversation feel more meaningful? In the previous episodes, I continue to say all starts with that moment, the moment where you come out of autopilot, the moment where you take that deep breath, right? So here is the big takeaway: listening isn't about hearing words, it's about creating connection. And connection is the secret sauce of leadership. So go out there and listen like Ted Lasso, not like Michael Scott. Your relationships and your leadership will transform. Thanks for tuning in today to Mindful Leadership Transform Lives. I am Singh, your host on the Transformation Network, and I'll see you next time. Until then, listen deeply, lead boldly, and stay inspired. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives. With me, your host, Singh. We are honored to have you join us on this journey to explore the transformative power of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and authentic leadership. Tune in every week on transformationtalkradio.com at noon Pacific on Tuesdays, where we will continue to explore how mindful leadership can create a ripple effect of positive changes in your life and lives of those you influence. This show is dedicated to helping you lead with purpose, presence, and passion. Whether you're navigating the complexities of business, building strong connection with your team, or striving to make a meaningful impact in the world around you. To learn more about the show, access additional resources, or dive deeper, visit singpowerupcoach.com. Remember, leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Let's continue to transform lives together, one mindful moment at a time. See you next week.